Welcome back, Liberty Librarian friends. How you guys doing? It's another beautiful Thursday. It's getting to be the end of summer. My hair is a little darker today. I decided I wasn't feeling myself without a little bit more red in it, so I went that way. I'm feeling a lot better with that. How are you guys doing? It is a great week. There's a lot going on in the world, and I got a little bit of news. Um, there are things afoot. Everything is kind of cool. So, first off, put that on. I had an eye exam this week, and just to show you like a little bit, I have still 20/20 vision in my like mid 40s, which is pretty cool. But a lot of times reading is a little bit more blurry on one eye, so I decided to go get some cheaters. It's the first time I've ever had cheaters, so I bought a pack of them for like 5 of them for like $15. So I have these, and they have anti-glare. As you can see what I'm looking at. It's me. And if I can sit back, it's a little shiny, but it has the blue block, so supposedly I can sleep better. My face is, I always think like everybody's face is a little bit crooked. So that's what it looks like. I have like different colors. The other one still has stickers on them. So, and I can't like look at other things. My friend Wendy says I have to look above them. Like I'm a librarian. This blue one is really cool though. I kind of like that. There's a clear one and a black one and a darker tortoise one. So many choices. And I get to like, this is part of my getting older and wiser. And I've always loved glasses. Everyone in my family has glasses except for me. And I always felt like I want them. I think they're so cool looking, and I am the only one who has like really good eyesight. So it's a blessing and a curse because I really love the idea of like coordinating everything with them and that sort of thing. But so now I have cheaters though. And so I actually sat down with a book and I was like, wow, it's only like a 1% increase or whatever one means. And honestly, it was awesome. It was super, like, it was bigger, so magnified and crystal clear. How cool is that? I mean, who knew life could be so much better with just glasses? And I know I have friends that have both glasses and they wear contacts at the same time because their eyesight is pretty like the. But you know, I'm kind of like, this is awesome. So I can like have my intellectual looking self with my glasses. And I always feel like that's one of those scenes in a movie where someone's like, let me tell you, this is the way it is, shake their head out. So it's super librarian thing, right? So there you go. It's my, like your sharing time in school. So, and speaking of sharing time at school, our governor in Minnesota just announced that districts it's up to them to decide if they're going to have classes or virtually or hybrid or however. It looks like my county is going to probably be mostly hybrid. So we'll see how that actually pans out in about a week or so. But yes, right? Very librarian-esque with my glasses. I know, I'm super excited. And the blue block on them, I think, is going to be kind of cool because it makes it so you can sleep better, and it might make your vision a little bit better because they say sometimes the blue light damages your eyes. It's got UV on them, all that good stuff. It's cool. So we'll see. I'm going to try them out, and, I didn't spend very much money on it, so we'll see. It could be awesome. It could be nothing. But that's what's going on in my life. I've been doing home construction, as you may know, for a while now. So we're getting to the final things. So after next week, my husband found out he is off of furlough, like officially. So yay! So he will be going back to work next week full time. So we got to get all of our stuff done and everything moved back in the house. So wish me luck. Oh my God. I am so done with construction. And I mean, I love having a new door, but geez, it's just a lot of work to get all of this together. Like, woo, right? Woo. Literally woo. So one more room to paint, and then I'm done. My husband, I think, has a project where he's going to try to fix a windowsill, but that's him, not me. So, yeah. One of the things I've been thinking about are like retirement. I know it's like I still got a long ways to go till retirement, but I've been obsessed with this show on YouTube. Let's see if I can find it on my thing. I'm going to show you just a screenshot of what these people look like. Let's see. I'll do my share screen. I think this is it. Oh, not that one. That's what it looks like. So Our Rich Journey, these two people, Aman and Christina, are amazing. They are kind of financial planning people. And what they've done is they decided that they didn't want to have the rat race for the rest of their lives, which I don't blame them. And they've come up with a really cool plan that they wanted to retire in 10 years. And so they started at about when they were 30, and they started doing like low tax or tax-free investments. They were doing putting large amounts of money into both like their savings, retirement plan type of stuff, but also paying off debt. And I've been really inspired by them. Partially because they got their plan to work, and I mean, okay, I'm gonna go over it a little bit in just a second, but they got their plan to work in 8 years instead of 10, and now they are living in Portugal, in I think mostly Lisbon, but they've been in Porto, and I think they just bought a house, and it's just amazing. I've been like eating up every episode of their show, and it is really it makes you feel like you could do it. Now, I ordered their workbook on their page, and I'll share that in the comments because I'm going to sit with my husband. We're going to go over it and look at budgets and see if it's something we could do. Because while 10 years might be a little close, why not? I mean, I'm like 46, like 10 years, I'll be 56. It would be really cool to be able to retire right around when I'm 56. And, you know, for me, retirement doesn't necessarily mean not working on anything. It means maybe less rat race kind of working, like office, more things like writing, maybe teaching online, that kind of thing. So I never really see myself totally not doing anything. Whereas my husband, he's like, when he retires, he wants to not do anything. He wants to sit on the beach and stick his toes in the sand kind of thing, which I totally get. I love being like relaxed and lazy, but there's all these things I still want to do. So what I've been looking at is it's called the FIRE system. It's a FIRE movement. And let me see if I have that somewhere. I have all these tabs open, so it's probably makes it a little confusing. Okay, so the FIRE movement is financial independence and early retirement. So a lot of it is just getting rid of your debt, getting on top of it, of your retirement savings, getting it so you have enough to live on for theoretically the rest of your life. Now, it feels really daunting. And let me say, if you've been saving since your 20s and you put in like, let's say 10% even, you're probably fine. But if you're like a lot of us who didn't have a job that had a retirement package with it, or you were unable to save it, you had to cash it out because of emergencies, this is a way that you can up your game so you can make retirement happen faster. Now, it may not even be faster. It might be so you can retire. And that's always the thing I'm obsessed with this pandemic. And I think it just gets more in my brain that I worry about it. I try not to even look at what numbers my retirement is at, because it's a little scary right now. But I think that having a plan and something that you can work towards will make that stress kind of less and less. So what did it say? What I found an article that kind of talks about it in Lifehacker. It's from last year, The Basics of Financial Independence and Early Retirement, the FIRE system. So what they talk about, to sum it up, I mean, you can watch this video series, and actually these people that I talked about with our Rich Journey, it's amazing YouTube channel. You can watch all of those. There's playlists. They talk about how they retired at 39. I'm so jealous. They talk about what kind of investments to do. I mean, because I'm not a super math finance person, so don't, if I say like you should do it this way, you should double check with people who actually know more what they're doing. That's why I'm interested in it. I want to know from experts like how they handled it, because they did it. It worked for them. A lot of times, one of the things that I always felt like is the get rich quick scheme people. The only way that the only people who ever got rich off of that were the people who wrote the books and did the workshops and that sort of thing. So that could be one of your plans, is figure it out and then teach people how to do it. More power to you. But what I like about this couple is they have 2 kids and they moved to Portugal, and they talk about what their family has done, the work that they do, how they've embraced minimalism, getting rid of the stuff you don't need, and not being so attached to buying new things all the time, getting the things that you really are excited about and you care about. And I think that's really cool. So you could watch all of these videos and pretty much learn like a ton of the things that you can read in their books. But I feel like their workbook is the thing that I ordered, and you can get it electronically or a physical book from Amazon. And I'll put a link later, but it's really kind of easier to see it. Now, here's a caveat. If you want to retire in 10 years, it's a lot easier if you you have a steady income. You make pretty good money, and you can figure out a plan on how to cut your budget down for the next 10 years. It doesn't have to be everything, but the more serious you are about it, the easier it will be. And having a plan in place will help you whittle down your debt, build up your savings. One of the things I've read in a lot of different places is having emergency cash funds. One I've read was like 20,000. Some, if you make a lot more, you could even have it be like 4 months of living expenses. Like in case you don't have money coming in, it's going to be really important to be able to have your options. Oh yes, and have diversified options for retirement for sure. And one of the things that people are panicking about is they see things coming down. And if you aren't retiring right away, don't futz with it too much. I have mine set at more of a aggressive for building up funds faster. But when you do an aggressive setup like that, when you're young, if it goes down, it will come back up. I mean, I don't really truly believe our economy's tanked, because I was looking at investments today, and it dove in like March, April, but now in July it's come way back up. So it's not forever. And so if you're young, be patient with it. If you're older, hopefully when you see things starting to get rough, then you would hopefully at that point had already put it in a safer, more what do you call it? Almost like a savings account system where you're getting very low growth, but it's stable. So think about your future in that way. How close do you want to retire? If you want to retire next year, be cautious. If you want to retire in 10 years, you still have a lot of time, but be focused on bringing down your debt. Be focused on starting to look at your life and like, okay, if I was going to be retired, would I want to live in this house? Would I want to downsize? Will it be even a possibility if I have physical issues for me to live in this house? I have like a 2-story house and a basement. Will I be able to go up and down stairs? Think about the fact that we're not all going to be the same forever. Things that you love now might not work for you later. So I'm starting to look at, downsizing my closet because I'm a clothes horse. I love clothes. Who knew? And we have so many like DVDs and music CDs, and we're starting to talk. We have friends who've moved into tiny houses, and friends who've moved into RVs, and how can you deal with that? We've been looking at a site called Voodoo and starting to move our videos and stuff over electronically. So it could work for you. I mean, think about how you could maybe cut the things down in your house by half. Start thinking about minimalism as a possibility. It's not for everyone to be super minimalistic. Like we only have a spoon in our house and a blanket, and that's it. No. What do you need for comfort and your happiness? I watched a great video the other day from God, what's his name? I Will Teach You to Be Rich. What is that author's name? I will look it up. Teach You to Be Rich. Ramit Sethi. And he had a video on YouTube from when he did a Google Talk, and it was really cool. It talked about not so much how to get rich, because he goes over a lot of that in his books, but it's almost kind of like that tidy, have your house kind of the things that bring you joy. What is that? Marie Kondo, right? How did the what is it? The Art of Tidy, Happy Living or something. I can't remember the name of the book, but it's kind of that attitude towards money, and to think about, sometimes you may have plenty of money, and but what does it equal to? In the example he gave, he talked about a woman whose husband makes a 6-figure salary and he was doing very well, but she would just get so freaked out every time he'd buy all these $3 iced teas. And she thought it was just wasting money. And he had talked to this financial planner and like, I don't understand why this is a deal. We have plenty of money. But for her, it was growing up in a family where there was no money, and money equals security. So, and for some people, money equals fun, and some people, money equals just freedom. And there's lots of things that can represent. But the things that you buy should make you happy, not just mass quantities of buying it. The feeling of buying for some people makes them happy and they become shopaholics. But think about why you buy the things that you do. Do you need to buy as much? Do you need to go out to eat? Do you enjoy it? If you don't really enjoy going out to eat all the time, try eating at home. Try making stuff at home. But if you love restaurants and you have, it's part of your joy, build it into your budget a little bit. You might not go every day, but try to find this happy balance for it. Now, that said, I haven't done the workbook for the FIRE movement, but I do think that is an interesting idea. So someone in their 50s and 60s is what your normal age where you think of people retiring. Like a lot of people start really getting serious around 62 for retirement. And you can start withdrawing money from IRAs, individual retirement accounts, without penalty at 59.5, I think is what they said. So, the earliest you can retire usually is 55, but you can retire anytime. It's just when can you start pulling your benefits, like your Social Security, your 401ks or 403bs. There's so many pensions, all of that. And there are, for every person who has those benefits, there are many who have nothing saved at all. And it is not a surprise, but it's never too late. It's never too late to start. You should always be thinking about the fact that Social Security is probably not going to be either there or enough to live on by itself. So if you have at least 10 years before you retire, go gangbusters. Go look into this system. I think it's a good start, especially if you are making money. If you're not making any money, look at the system and look at it as a planning way to work on a budget, work on bringing down your debt. that will help immensely. Because if nothing else, if all you have is Social Security, at least you won't be paying off debt continuously. You'll be paying for, your utilities, your food, and that kind of stuff. But it might be more doable. And I think you got to think about your own comfort and the fact that you're not going to maybe be able to work forever. I don't think anybody should work forever. But what I also liked about it was that there are so many options in it, and your comfort level. You can go full tilt boogie into it and save, 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 save. And I think about my husband's parents who really, the last, I think it was 8 years, just like this, they went super hardcore into saving, and they're about the most comfortable retired people I've met. And she worked as a nurse and he worked for Hormel. And they both had really good pensions, but they paid off all their debt. They made sure that they had everything taken care of before that point. So, sometimes it's a combination of having working at a good job where you have those kind of benefits where you can save, you can put things into your retirement. And, like I work in education and we don't have a lot of the money, but we have really good benefits. So teachers' retirements are great. So don't, think I just have to work at a job that makes like 6 figures, because I'm not ever going to have that. But you can work for, like if you want to be a teacher, you could work in lots of industries, nonprofits, for city governments or state governments. There's so many different ways that you could do that. So don't discount it. I know a lot of people are like, I'm not working for the man. Everybody's kind of working for the man. Okay. But, at what point do you want to be kind of free of the shackles of like the rat race, be on the hamster wheel of life? I'd like to be able to go live abroad for a while if they ever open up the world, but for pandemic, I'd like it to end so I could go travel again. If nothing else, I've even looked at places like South Dakota because they have better, no prop, like, what is it? No income taxes and lower property taxes. So it's pretty good. Not so bad. But there's benefits to living everywhere. And you may have like your favorite place and it may not be the cheapest, but write that in. Like, what is your dream? What do you want to have happen as you grow up? So you have a high paying, soul sucking job. It seems like it'd be pretty good. Retiring early because you don't like your job isn't a good reason to do it. Honestly, if you hate your job and the only reason you want to retire early is because you hate your job, get a different job, right? I tell people that all the time. It's like not, and they're like, I get paid so good, I'm gonna stay here forever. Do you want to spend your time miserable? I think like that hurts your health. It hurts your well-being. Do try to work at things that you enjoy. I mean, please do, because then you'll look back and you will have fondness for your memories of your work time. And if you're not, how can you make it happen? Put that into your plan. And sometimes things that you love don't pay a lot. How can you still make the bills? There are side gigs is one of the things that I really noticed on that YouTube channel I was talking about. They talk about ways to make money on the side. Some of it you don't even have to get out of bed. You could just sit on your laptop and make money. One of them was like reviewing websites, like how to buy things on sites. That you record yourself going through and talking about what you liked about a web page and what you didn't. And they have things like, tutoring people. Like during this pandemic, people need a lot of help teaching their kids. So if you have a 4-year degree, you can be tutoring people. I mean, there's so many options, guys. I want you to know that there's a lot of ways out there that you can make money and start saving towards your retirement. It doesn't have to be this dreaded thing your whole life. The biggest part of it, and I've had people get mad at me because I'm like, when I first got done with college, I had so much student debt and I had a terrible paying job and huge credit card debt and everything. And I just felt like it was impossible. And Like we worked hard at it for years just to get it so it was normalized. And then I went back to school and you put yourself in a situation where you make a little bit more money. And that's one of the things that they talk about too is saving money is one thing. It's hard. It's hard to save money. Easier if you can find a way to make more money. Making more money makes it easier to save more money. I know it's counterintuitive, but they say it's way easier to save more money if you make more money. So how can you get a better paying job? Some people go back to school. Some people, just apply. You can't get a different job if you don't apply. Right now, it may be hard during the pandemic, but I'm seeing more and more jobs opening up. And people are retiring early because they're like, I'm sick of this shit. Done with it. Jump in on that. Don't be afraid. Take chances. My first library job, I was thinking about going back to library school. I'd worked as a student worker in libraries for like about 4 years before I went for this job. And I was like, they probably won't even interview me. But it was getting to be the end of the time. And I was just like, I should just call the library director. They have their phone number there. And I called her and we talked on the phone. And she was like, okay, what system do you use? And did you use when you were a student worker? And I'm like, I use this system. And it was the same one they used. I know how to do this and this and this. And I'm thinking about going back to school. And she's like, I think you should come in and interview. The last day of interview is tomorrow. I'm going to put you down for this time. And I went in. It was one of the best interviews I've ever had. And I was in the right place at the right time. But because of that, I'm a librarian today. She had also talked to me about my school options where I had looked at one program and she talked me out of it because it would probably be a disadvantage if I was looking to be an academic librarian. So I went to an ALA accredited program and it worked out great. And I took every chance to get professional development and I had some free options for schooling. And I took everything I could because I felt like I just want to make things better for my family and for myself. So I hope that you think about that. I want to make sure there wasn't anything I left out about the FIRE. Anyone can do the FIRE. Financial independence. You do need to cut back on expenses, but you also need to start working on building your income. How you can do that together, you can make that happen. But you really got to work on your budget. You really do. You got to at least understand where the money is going to. You might not be able to cut a lot because it may be not enough to even do that. But having an understanding of it. The worst thing that people tell me is that they're like, well, I just live paycheck to paycheck. There's nothing I can do. Maybe look into things before you say there's nothing you can do. Maybe there is something you can do. Sometimes the things that you think you can't do anything about is because you put the power in other people. Like sometimes a family member is just spending like crazy and you're like, I just can't stop them because you won't have a hard discussion with them. Is it because you can't or you won't? So I feel like it's something that's really important for all of us. And I get obsessed a little bit about thinking about retirement, and that's still pretty far away. Even if I retire at 55, it's far enough away that I have time, but I'd rather be super ready for it. So if I just all of a sudden I'm done with this, or let's say I get laid off, or the school's gone or something, you never know what could happen. Be ready for everything. I just want you guys to succeed. I want everyone to do well. They said to highlight the value of cutting expenses, for every $100 per month you can trim, it means you need $30,000 less to achieve financial independence. The $1,200 yearly expense times 25 equals $30,000. So their price is $30,000. So, think about that. How do you become financially independent? Try cutting down $100 a month. See if you can do more. Where can you cut that, and where can you add more money coming in? The side gigs are a great way to do that. I've known people who work 2 jobs for forever, but they're still drowning in debt. So for them, the combination of maybe working on a budget and still working extra might be the key. But I don't think I could really want to recommend to anybody working two jobs forever, especially with family. That's really hard. So find a way that works for you, something that won't like crush your life or your soul. Um, we still need to have those iced teas, every now and then. But what can you do without? What can't you do without? And I think about that a lot. So they say the first steps, if you want to retire early, you have to have a strong why. Some people like, I want to retire in Florida. I want to be a snowbird. I want to move to Portugal like those guys did. And then how long do you want to wait? Like some people are like, yeah, 65 is fine. I'm going to work till I'm 70 because I just love my work. Some people are like, oh, I'm done. 5 years. Done, done, done. When do you want to retire? So if you want to move somewhere, does it cost more to live there? Does it cost less to live there? What will your family look like? Will it just be you? Will it be like 5 kids and you and your wife? Like what is it going to be? Why do you want that? Are you unhappy with your job? Are you really happy, but you just want to spend more time with them? You're like me, where you're thinking, I want to write the great American novel. Do you really need to be retired to do that? I mean, track your expenses. That's the second step. Look at your bank statements, your credit card statements, online budgets, and make note of what you're spending your money on. So, are they meaningful? Is there a reason that you're spending on these things? Sometimes when you just look at it, it freaks you out. And that might be enough to get you on the right track. So think about that and to spend mindfully, think about, do you need to buy all this stuff? In our family, we've had discussions with our family members about not going crazy at Christmas time, buying too many presents. We get them more for the little kids in the family, but the adults really have everything they could need. And it's just little items is what we could get people to agree on, like stocking stuffer stuff and spending time together. To me, it was always the most important. How can you change it so people aren't super disappointed and feel like they're super missing out, but at the same time understand that maybe this is the way of getting, away from crazy consumerism and getting more into what makes you really happy? So they had a list of the 10 pillars from Mendoza in his podcast for FIRE. It talked about lower your housing costs. If it's really going bad, you're living if you're house poor, think about moving to a smaller house. I know it sucks, but if you're getting 10 years to retirement, maybe downsizing now is a good thing. Paying less for your monthly mortgage payments or rent, downsize. Drive used cars. One of the last things that my husband and I have been doing is when we do decide and we have to get a new car because the car is dying and we drive in Minnesota to work, we've bought used cars. The deal for us was we bought, what do you call them? The rental ones that are, God, I can't remember the name. It's the ones that were on a program through the car company, and they refurbish them and you get a huge warranty on them. Super great. What a great deal. So I recommend that. Cut cable. My problem is now I have Netflix and I spend a lot on that, but it's still way less than what I had spent on cable. Do you need cable and Netflix? Maybe you can get by with just one. There's a lot of free stuff on my Roku box that you can watch for free. There's free websites where you can watch movies. So think about that. Lower your tax liability by maxing out your tax deferred savings, like your 401k, your 457, 403b, IRAs, HSA, etc. Switch to cheaper cell phone service. Think about how much you're spending on that. Do you use it that much? Google Fi has a $20 option a month. Really worth it. Use credit card rewards and smart financial habits to help fund your travel. I needed to be better about that. Reduce your grocery bills. Increase your income and consider adding multiple income streams, side gigs, whatever. Invest in low cost index funds, which I'm interested in learning more about. And use the 4% rule, the ultimate equation behind achieving financial independence. When you can safely withdraw 4% from your nest egg each year to cover your expenses and still have enough money down the road, you reached financial independence. So I hope that helps you. And I'll post a few of the links to that so you know there are options out there. And I hope that you can. I know some of you probably just passed out and thinking about this, but it's so important. I want you to be free. I want you to be able to do what you want, follow your dreams, all that good stuff. So think about it. So, and that website that I really have been into is Our Rich Journey, and their kids are even starting Our Rich Journey Junior. So they have 2 daughters who are doing it, and they're just adorable. So think about that. So let me see. Where did I put it? There's a couple things in the news I want to talk about. Let me take a sip. Okay, so I saw this the other day that there was censorship that I thought was a little bit disappointing. There was it was taken down off of Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and there's a viral video of a bunch of physicians group people that were talking about coronavirus press conference in DC. And I mean, I'm going to just show like a little clip of it just because I think it's really sad that this was taken down, and it makes me a little crabby. Let me see. Where's my tab? There we go. So you guys may have seen this. They talk about the doctors. So America's Frontline Doctors is a group. They're kind of a conservative group that is talking about mostly about that they thought that hydroquinone was a great way of curing coronavirus. And people were discounting it right away because Trump also recommended the video, which I don't think is a reason to discount it. I don't really like the guy either, but whatever. They said that they took down the information for sharing false information about cures and treatments for COVID-19. And they also said they showed messages that people reacted to that they said was misinformation. And they said 17 million people viewed the video before it's taken down. And you can view it in Breitbart. And there is a webpage with information about the press conference. But what bothered me is that I think the doctors should have the right to talk about, you know, what they're encountering in their medical practices, things that they're trying. I mean, there's a lot of uncertainty, and they may believe that these treatments are really good. And why aren't we talking about that? Why is this a hidden thing? And I found that there are certain people who can talk about unknowns, like Fauci and the like CDC, that are government related individuals that can say whatever they want. They can say, wear masks, don't wear masks, wear masks, and then half wear masks, don't wear them, sort of wear them, you know, wear shields, don't wear shields. And the problem is that nobody knows. Nobody has any idea because there's no studies, there's no medical proof either way. And we're just basically saying the popular viewpoints are okay for people to share unknowns. But if you have an unpopular viewpoint and it's an unknown, it's fake news. And that is what I have a problem with. And the second part of this is, if in the picture you see there's a Black woman on the right side, and I think she's I think a doctor from Africa originally, and she talks about things like the things that are going around on the internet that I think are horrible, is that they focus on the fact that she has alternative viewpoints about witches and demon seed, and kind of more religious viewpoint with medicine. And they've decided that because they don't like her viewpoint on something, they discount the whole group. And when she was talking in the press conference, she wasn't talking about any of those things that they brought up. These are past things that she said. But what makes me more angry is, I'm going to say it, it's basically they picked this Black woman out of the group who has different religious views. And so It's racist. It's anti-religious. Anything that's different than what you believe is you will crush it. And they've ridiculed her and made so much fun of her. And I think it is the most hateful thing that I've ever seen. And they're doing it because they're afraid of what the group was saying, not because of what she is. And they're using anything to bring down anyone that has, like, if you say hydroquinone is good, you're a Trumper. What does it have to do with anything? They've used this in other countries. Lots of doctors are using it and having good results. It's just the fact that coronavirus has causes clotting and organ failure in a percentage of the people who have it, and they go downhill fast. So for them, maybe using this drug isn't the best. But what I will say about all of this is you need to do studies, and that's how you can become not fake news. But to discount opinions and to cut out any educated group that's talking and going, we think this actually works. This should be something they look at. And you're silencing groups because you find picky crap about their past. I'm going to say, I've dealt a lot with pagan groups. And as a heathen, I do believe that there are things that we don't understand in the universe. And I am open to everyone having their own religion or lack of religion or anti-religion or whatever you want. But I think if you're an expert in your field, you should have the right to be able to speak in a press conference. You can publicly ridicule anyone you want. I know this is America, but to the point where they are taking down these videos, they're crashing websites. People are actively trying to silence and censor groups from even having an opposing viewpoint. That is a problem in our country, and we need to stop that. So that's all I'm going to have to say about that. But I'm horrified. I continue to be horrified by the fact that this is going on and it's removed. And I think that if you have something where people are saying something that sounds sort of reasonable and they're crashing it, taking it away, that should make you know that there's something wrong. And I will say my second part has not much to do with that, but when I see people post that, oh, someone went to a rally and they didn't wear a mask and they got COVID and died, that serves them right. When somebody says that, you are a bad person. You're a bad person for wishing ill on somebody. You're a bad person for censoring someone. You're a bad person for making fun of someone's religious beliefs. You're a bad person for picking on someone who's a person of color, who's a doctor, that they may have said a viewpoint that you disagree with, but then you dig into their background until you find something that you don't like that you can share and ridicule them for. So think about that before you do it, because I think that is despicable stuff, and it's going on a lot lately. So be a better person than that. I hope that you can. So yeah, I get kind of mad about that. Dang it. Okay. So I do have some other news. How much time do we got? A little bit of time. As you know, our big four, high-tech giants like Amazon, Apple, Facebook, and Google are being questioned by Congress because of antitrust. It's a good time for it. And so they have had the CEOs from these companies were being questioned by Congress, and they're a little sweaty. And I think all the companies are worth nearly $5 trillion. So much money, you'll never imagine it. And they were called in via video conference and fielded questions for nearly 6 hours. Some of the questions were tough. Some were just all over the place. So, and it was sometimes awkward. But I'm really glad that this is finally happening, because the House Judiciary Subcommittee on Antitrust received only 5 minutes at a time to ask all four executives questions. The event was full of technical glitches, as you can guess, in a Zoom meeting or whatever. So there was some things that make you kind of go, The winners in this, they say, were Amazon and Facebook. They talk about their acquisitions of the companies. Um, Getting Instagram for was actually one of those things that was basically like becoming a monopoly. Your other companies are, the antitrust makes it so the big companies can't swallow up all the small companies and not have competition, right? So there are ways that they are a threat. And so Zuckerberg was asked, Facebook CEOs, Mark Zuckerberg, was asked about threatening smaller companies like Instagram and Snapchat in order to pressure them into selling the company. They talk about that. They, Jayapal, who's a representative from Democrat from Washington, said that had proof, citing messages in which Systrom shared his worries with investors that Zuckerberg would go into destroy mode, copying and crushing his app if he rejected a deal. So Facebook is a case study in monopoly power, because this is what Jayapal says. Because your company harvests and monetizes our data, and then your company uses that data to spy on competitors and to copy, acquire, and kill rivals, said Jayapal at the end of her round of questioning on the Instagram deal. They were the most damning evidence presented at the antitrust hearing. It demonstrated how Facebook's market dominance can strike fear in its competitors, even if it's still undecided that it fits the legal threshold for anti-competitive behavior. So Apple's Tim Cook only had about half the questions that Facebook had. He did have tough questions about Apple takes too big of a cut from revenue from third-party developers in the App Store. Like Spotify has very publicly complained about the issue, leading to European regulators launching a pair of antitrust investigations in June. Yet, as of Wednesday last week, members of Congress didn't focus on their ire on Apple's issues as they did on other tech CEOs. So the CEO Tim Cook from Apple, won by laying low. To date, he's been masterful staying quiet when he needs to in order to win the hyper-partisan politics of the Trump era. The losers were Mark Zuckerberg. Basically, it's proved that they did copy, acquire, kill strategy for pushing competitors out of business. The grilling from Congress didn't stop with acquisitions. Zuckerberg faced a slew of angry questions from Republicans who accused with scant evidence that Facebook is inherently biased against conservatives. It kind of is. I've heard so many ways that conservative sites are shut down. So there is that. Sundar Pichai, who is of Google, said that he faced a hammering over Google's privacy practices, was receiving a lot of hell of largely unfounded accusations on political bias on Google. I will say, I've tried to search for alternative viewpoints on coronavirus treatments and COVID-19, and it is almost impossible. However, when I've switched to DuckDuckGo, I find a lot more. There may be something to that. So there is censorship in some of these big companies, and a lot of it is their viewpoints. They're supporting their viewpoints. So it shouldn't be that way. And they talk about how these groups are working with Chinese Communist Party's work in censorship and using some of that censorship to model their search engine. So winners and losers, both. Amazon was one of the ones that they talked about. Did little to quash a variety of concerns over the power Amazon wields over $1.7 million against small and mid-sized sellers. And it basically is killing mom and pop businesses, just like Walmart has been accused of in the past. However, Walmart wasn't one of the ones that was there. So interesting enough. that powerhouse is, that Amazon is so big that they're one of the ones asked to come. And Rep. Jim Jordan, Ohio Congress member, was most outspoken of his Republican colleagues in attacking the tech giants, claiming that they censor or otherwise suppress conservative viewpoints in various ways. I'll cut to the chase, he says. Big tech is out to get conservatives, he said in his opening. So if success for Republicans was based on airing any unproven theories of bias as possible, Jordan was a star. And they're talking about, put your mask on. And then they have journalism with it. Let's see. Every day. Okay. They waste precious opportunities to ask hard questions of the tech titans, the actual task at hand, to document whether they know how they abuse the power over partners and competitors. To a certain extent, these hearings are a form of theater, and most politicians are looking for catchy sound bites showing them speaking truth to power. If you give an amazing performance for a different show than the one audience paid for, though, you deserve to be booed off the stage. So if you have the opportunity to prove that they are doing antitrust activities, you should try to prove that. So I feel like it was actually quite the big failure, but it's the first time that they've gotten all four of them into a room where they were asked, well, not in the same room, virtual room, so they could be asked questions. So very interesting. They had talked about you should be terrified about Facebook and The Guardian. I just saw that last week. We didn't know in 2016 that we are so much more innocent with all the data collecting, that Donald Trump has used Facebook's tools to deliberately suppress and deny Black and Latino people to vote with no consequences. And they've used the tools. The more powerful and rich will get carte blanche access to everything. So that's just America. Everyone in the rest of the world, we have like millions, 87 million people's personal data stolen and repurposed, including by the Trump campaign. So they're stealing and using data to do what? Maybe, I'm on like some Trump mailing list now. I don't know. Maybe because I've talked about it on the show, but I get stuff like every week. And I am not a Republican. Just going to say that. But I get stuff all the time. And it doesn't bother me because I read everything that people send to me. I am fascinated by political marketing, and I think the fact that they spend money and send it is really fun. So, don't be mad if you sign me up and you're like, ha 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 ha. I think they sign me up because I'm a libertarian mostly. So, there you go with that. So there are so many committees that are working on trying to figure out a way to stop the abuse of data mining. And we're looking at this year presidential election for the United States. Will Facebook be used again to subvert the next election? Yes, it will. Will it be held to account? No. We are having them question right now, and their antitrust and their data mining is unchecked. We think it is. It's not. And the world is sick because American capitalism has been the vector that has brought this infection across the globe. Everyone is getting it. So I think it's quite interesting to see that he was forced to deny, like Mark Zuckerberg was forced to deny a secret deal with Trump. It's like a ridiculous idea. It's a pretty crazy idea. First suggested fake news on Facebook that might have played a role in electing Trump. It wasn't crazy though. 2016, it was true. We all know this because of painstaking work the FBI and congressional committees did investigating foreign interference in the U.S. election. Work that hasn't even begun to happen in the UK. So where does it end? Where does it begin? When will it ever be really uncovered? I think when you have an election year like this, and I see that Trump is trying to push back the election date, why? Is it because these hearings are making it really dangerous for them to use the shady tricks that they've done in the past? Maybe that's a good thing. So you can hope that we will start to see Oh man, you get all the Republican surveys too. Isn't it nuts? Um, I just think they have so much more money right now too. I mean, I think about that and go, I actually like to see it and just they've sent me like extra stamps and I'm like, really? You're sending me extra stamps to send things back. I almost want to put them on other things and just mail stuff or mail it like when they have return to sender and there's no postage, just like to send stuff back, like random crap. There's ideas there, but I think that ultimately there needs to be accountability for our country, for these big companies that are being manipulated, I feel, by money and by powerful governments. So I'm glad to see that they're starting to question people, but I'd really, really like to see it actually pay off and that there be consequences for bad behavior. So we can hope that in 2021, that'll be the year things turn around instead of we going down that dystopian path of murder hornets and mysterious seeds and fires and dust storms. And it's a crazy year. So anyway, I think we're almost out of time. And one of the things I was just going to mention is most of the people in the United States, Americans, say social media companies have too much power and influence in politics. And that from this survey in the Pew Research Center said over 72% of U.S. Adults say social media companies have too much power and influence in politics today. I think that's true. And I was going to talk a little bit about building anti-surveillance into schools. And what I want to end with is there's actually a really interesting article from, where is this? From hackeducation.com, which I think is an interesting website, and the history of the future of education technology. And what we need to do is to not allow students to be surveilled, to collect data on them as young children. Anyone under the age of 18 doesn't really have any rights, but don't take away the rights just because they're children. So things that they should be doing is think about rethink assessment, do not collect data, demand governance and regulation on products that are tracking students, teach personal info and security to students, turn off the cameras, don't record, think about it. If it's a free product, it's not really free. They're using it to data mine. And question openness and have trust of the students. You don't really need to surveillance students to the level that they're doing, and they are. And a lot of times I think of it as a grooming technique. They're grooming children so that way when they're adults, they're so used to having surveillance done on them and data mining that they don't care anymore. They never knew anything different. Teach people to value their privacy and freedom and continue that as an adult. And I think it's something that we should all expect in our world. So on that note, I hope you have a great week. As always, if you need more intellectual freedom news than I can give you, the American Library Association Intellectual Freedom News website is a great page. Every week they come up on Fridays and have great things about censorship, security, First Amendment, international news, more than I can ever cover. So I hope you have a great week, guys. Democrats get nothing. It's so unfair. I love you guys. I hope you have a great week. Be safe. Think about ways to kind of protect your data. Make sure you're looking out for yourself and for the people in your family and your life. Have a great week. I will talk to you later. Bye, guys.